The alternate timeline explained. So if you didn't know, this game of Samurai Jack has never been done before. This comes specifically from the alternate timeline that they made literally after Ares was young Bruno on the block, after they claimed Gangster got $1 trillion in debt and Ares was the only one to make real money. And I told you where that contradiction comes from. It comes from a gun, and things like that. Trying to fit in, not a ring, a nerd when it comes to full ambition. Because we held on to society after we got over our female problem or whatever obstacle happened. But the whole meaning of this timeline is the same thing but more proportion. Because if you didn't know, a big part of the alternate timeline is me, Lamaya, and that guy Defenders. What happens, literally, is what they wanted was to want me to join a gang in order for me to literally view the way of a gang to recognize why they have so much pain with girls. I'm telling you, girls are promiscuous, they're not shit. They may be stronger than a nerd, but once you get past the fact that they don't come with creativity, more so leans towards responsibility than you understand girls. And the reason why that is they want him to feel it some way. Oh, instead of, Ares getting no girlfriend to have the ultimate lesson by being in 5. I'm gonna show you for this video because what happened in the old world was I was 1/5 and the gang goes over 1/5 in order to get their way, but 1/5 is the same as making sense. So what happened once I got a build was I rocked around literally and I broke the law of hip hop being perfectly a square. What they didn't know, that was a boxing formation. And then I started getting on girls in company. Now what that's compared to is I know a guy named Ted. And what Ted is he's a pothead that does a whole bunch of drugs. And why he wanted the alternate timeline especially was he wanted, big monumental things to happen, but to me to have more female validation. Exact same reason why I had, less female validation, but more back in the scenes, back when I had, Gazal and shit, is why I didn't fall for their trap long term. Anyway, the moral of the story is that God Defenders came back, literally back when I was a little kid, right around Cabrillo. And guess what Lamaya did? What she did was, literally, I was still doing socializing, but I joined the gang. And off that time, I actually joined the gang. I went to both, the Crip and Blood meetings, but only one. To get my style. In the alternate timeline, there's superpowers. There's superpowers based off, socializing and fading in. Like, you put two pieces together, and, you compare it to an argument with your family. So when Daigata came out, literally, what happened was I got on her face. Because I was only slightly gangster, and Grandma viewed me as the hero, Sepsi viewed me as the main character, and everything else correlated besides it. So what I do is I get Lamaya, literally, and I say that she's the worst character, basically. And then she laughs, ha ha, literally, that's why I'm the one who heals in the show. And then contrary to your belief, what Ted wanted, and what actually happened was I came back instantly by damn Master Monument. And so Lamaya said, okay, well let's keep watching. And the reason why that happens specifically is because girls are no longer, just things that you view to come with a party that make you come along with your sick little plan. Now it's making you feel something on an artistic level to a point where you have to actually get them. So what ends up happening is I actually keep up with her, all the way to the point where I have a little churro ice cream down the street. So what happens is literally I adapt to gay, quickly, but what she does is she shows me Monument quickly, then she starts flirting with James, and so Corey, James, Lily, and Robert all try her on the same street when, Daigata comes out. What happens is I get the upper hand, but then she misses brackets. So in other words, literally, Ares had, the edge when it comes to this and that, where it came to being Gazola World and socializing. Like this one time, literally, when the movie is remade where me and James face off the movie, he starts talking about his shoe and how he was the only little world, how he flipped the shoe. I'm like, this is retarded. This is why I call it the old world, because the old world, they want to understand that I had something up top of something, including Shannon. That means I know how to pay for an event. I know what the event is about, to a point where you gangsters really can't get weird if you view, because now you know that life is mature. Now you know that literally you pay for the event, now knowing everything, about it before you step in. So what ends up happening is that they have those skilled CS weak comebacks, literally, and what he wants, literally, is like, oh, but when he adapted to school, this and that, literally, your example, travel with him. Like, Max, we came to playing sports, this is not, literally, I got, compliments from girls here and there. Where it came to skill, literally, he had the example of where equal, literally, so he basically should know statement awkwardly, literally, where it came to Monument and through girls and crumble, which is recorded. We all know these games from Cartoon Network, we all know Lotus 7 literally took over for a long time. But the truth of the matter is, the alternate timeline was made because of how dank I was. And when I think in the old world, I'm telling you, I did a thing with dildos really about the city. I still didn't beat my family. And, that's what happens to people, really. They enter, alternate timelines of things happen. So the whole point of this one, Lily, is that it revolves about me watching the Voodoo Dolls, the Goo Goo Dolls, basically. Because when I was an ambient, rapper, where ambient feelings, what it did was they cut the ambient feeling in half. So shows like Legendary Dragons on Cartoon Network back in the day. Not nowadays, while I knew through with the Rock. You see, the whole point of it is like Booba, a show that you didn't know that I made a long time ago, is also gonna be in there. So what's gonna happen is like Cartoon Network is gonna be flipped, in half, really, to more explicit shows being shown when I'm a teenager. Literally, when I grow up, shit flips, literally. So when it gets to my junior year, contrary, literally, they kept on saying that, yo, you were so good at getting girls when you were younger, literally, and when things get flipped, so girls, more of, embodiment, literally, in the old world, more once they were their responsibility and challenge. That's why he crumbled where it came to meaning, but not the actuality. And then they even started, defending me, saying that he's too high functioning, this, that he already had, one girlfriend, this and that, all like literally the exact opposite of what happened in the old world happened in this one. But there's a guest story too, because literally they said that he was high functioning, that he got too much, validated female signals, is the exact same reason why you can't apply for things like original singer, this and that, literally, and all these same things is why 10 gangsters are retarded. And I don't even know if Andre is going to be in this one. If he is, it's going to be a specific video game that he can't play. So let's get on to something that's nowadays really would, no matter how much you go back in time, you can't remove the scar on my arm, which is why I'm only, supporting fan-made physical validation. Which is, Prince Star literally came before it inspired Dragon Ball Z. Well, let me tell you, literally, the thing I know about Lord Slam is the power system between Fist Star and Dragon Ball Z are completely different. One has ki and one has, Hoto Shikin, which is, it's the same word comes, a human energy body, proclaiming something, oozing out. But not where it came to the martial arts. The martial arts are completely different. One comes from a Torah hermit, and one, literally comes from the cosmos, and the other one comes from God, meditation. That's why I'm trying to say ki is different from Hoto Shinken, literally. So Anka is way out of rack, literally, because I got way more in the anime recognized, like, it had, the end, not literally a Bashan fighter, but what it failed, to portray, literally, was the evidence and the proportionate that Dragon Ball Z had. But like I said, it's fucking stupid. But everything in the alternate timeline is there, like Oreo, Lily, and them brother, everybody arguing out of Crip was there, but there was more to it. And David was above the millennium. Get this right, literally, I can't, get in contact with David because he gave me too much validation. And when it comes to domestic violence, how literally they do shit like they make you fight with loose. Literally, they tried to make me fight David. It took over 300 years for him to reinstate in the government. That's how cool I was with David. And what he was in the old world was literally something that had structure that was clean over time, like Frieza, literally, where he tried to rank there as asteroids. And in the old world, when he fought Tommy, literally, he looked just like Bugs Bunny, was an actual Looney Tune. He's like, Tommy, I'm gonna kill you right next to the Fruit Loops. It's absolutely stupid, literally, and that's where we get the moments where Neil Diamond comes in play, where Grandma literally almost destroyed the Earth, literally, when there was an earthquake. Street footballs there, all that shit was done by me. And they didn't give you credit anyway, literally, this is the alternate timeline explained.